Lifteo? Ay.
Lifteo.
Okay.
That's it. Bye.
Picture this. You work hard. Of course you do. And from all the working hard, you were able to achieve all your hopes and dreams. And from all those hopes and dreams, maybe you might be missing something. So the real question is, can money buy happiness? Let's answer that question in today's vlog featuring our car for this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to the car brought to us by the Autohub Group once again. This is the Shelby Mustang GT Premium. Everyone ready? Lights, camera, action. Let's fire this baby up.
Running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Oh boy. Before I give you a whole tour of this particular car, let me give you a bit of a background. First of all, speaking of background, if you notice it might be a little noisy in the background, well, it's a busy area where we're shooting today. Anyways, thank you very much again to the Autohub Group, to Boss Wayne for allowing me to borrow this particular car. It's been an amazing experience. We really enjoyed it. Okay, now back to business. Everyone's familiar with the Ford Mustang. Everybody knows that the Ford Mustang, it's a fast car. Now, the Ford Mustang, it's also known in popular culture. You've seen it in so many movies like Gone in 60 Seconds. You've also seen it with Steve McQueen. You've also seen it in The Fast and the Furious and many, many more other movies. But this particular car though, it's not your typical run-of-the-mill Mustang. It's not the EcoBoost. It's not the Premium or whichever you're gonna call that. What it is an upgraded version of the Shelby. Now the Shelby, that came from Sir Carrol Shelby himself. And Sir Carrol Shelby, as everyone knows, well, he's got a need for speed. Now, while we're in the topic of Carrol Shelby, the team and I were able to Google up some things before we turned on the cameras just to let you know a little bit more about the master behind this Mustang. Now, Carrol Shelby, as according to hotcars.com, we'll post a link down below, but Carrol Shelby, believe it or not, is a known race car driver and a known race car developer. He's got a winning record in Le Mans for both. And aside from that, other non-car facts outside Le Mans and outside being fast, because everybody knows he drives fast, believe it or not, he always had a thing for chili. He also owns a chili company, and aside from that, believe it or not, he had 7 wives. Damn. For the record, according to the website, it wasn't at the same time. The 7 wives, it came at different times. Divorce, I guess. Okay, for the front of the Shelby Mustang GT Premium, it's your typical bells and whistles here, except there are certain distinctions. Like for this one, well, yes, everybody is familiar with the headlights, but the front bumper is different, and of course, we do have the Shelby logo located right in the middle. Now, this car is color black, but it also has a gold finish on the middle, which... Who's this? So yeah, earlier, I was, So earlier we were shooting and then all of a sudden somebody called. I don't want to be rude. I don't want to not tell you who called, okay? It wasn't a girl, okay? It was family, okay? We were just making sure some things were coming up. Because while we're taping this, my mom's birthday is coming up. So happy birthday, Mom. Love ya. Okay, back to business. Now this car also has a front bumper. The front bumper, it's properly integrated to the body of the car. It's not protruding too much and it's not too low. So it still gives you that sporty and muscular look, but it's still practical to be driven every day. Now let's begin the side profile of this car from this particular corner. Now for this particular corner, you can see from the side there is a badge here that shows that this car is powered by Ford Performance. Now Ford Performance does have a reputation of going really fast. In addition to that though, as much as these cars can go fast, it's also important that these cars can also stop from any particular speed, which is why this particular car is also fitted with Brembo brakes all around. For the rest of the side profile of the Mustang, now everybody does know it has the iconic Mustang shape from long time ago, so you can really see how timeless the shape really is. Of course though, to add more flair to that or to add more character to that are the side skirts located at the bottom, and of course this iconic Shelby logo, which is seen both in the C and the D panels at the back of the car. Oh, and if you're looking for fuel economy, this car might not be your choice because this thing has 700 horsepower and it runs on premium fuel. Now, if you're looking for something more fuel efficient, you might want to consider a Levdeo i3 instead. What is it? It's an electric car we recently reviewed on our YouTube channel, so do check it out. Now for the rear of this Shelby, as you can see, the gold accents do continue all the way to the back. And of course, the iconic Shelby logo is seen right here, which does really show the image of this particular car and the proper representation this car carries. Again, this car was inspired from the late Carrol Shelby. Now it's got your typical run-of-the-mill Mustang taillights and the bumper, all pretty normal right there. What's unique about this one though is the catback quad exhaust this car has. Now, the thing about this exhaust is that when you start it up or even step on the accelerator or even just get this thing going, people will hear you. Now, before I give you guys a special look inside this muscle car, let's open the back first. Now for the back, you can open it by pressing on the key fob twice on this particular button. There's also a button inside beside the steering wheel, and those are the two ways that you could be able to open the back. Now, if you're looking for a power tailgate, this car doesn't have it. Get yourself something else. But what this car does have though is a lot of practicality when you do open, because there's still a lot of space and provisions for one speaker. Okay, believe it or not, whenever we explain cargo capacity in YouTube, it's kind of hard to explain because of all the liters and what have you. And you know, liters, it doesn't really show exactly how much cargo space you can put. But how about this? Take a look at this. I'm 6 feet tall. I can't extend my legs this way, but if I had to extend my legs this way, diagonally, it is possible. So, I hope this answers the question with regards to cargo space. All right? Now, if you do want to hear some music from the inside of the car, if it's one concession, you do have a subwoofer here. For the center console of the vehicle, you can really see how sporty this car can really be. Boost gauges are there with carbon fiber accents on top to give it an added sportier feel. And then of course you have your infotainment system in the middle. You've got your audio controls, you've got your climate controls here, and your drive modes are all available at the bottom. Interesting thing about the drive modes is it could be adjusted at a flip of a switch. So if you wanted to lighten your steering to comfort, just flip this switch up. If you want to make it a sportier ride, a more responsive throttle, shall I say, a stiffer ride even, flip this up to get Sport Plus or all the other sport modes. And of course, if you want to turn off your traction control, because I know why you'd want to do that, flip this switch up as well. And of course, with all the flipping of the switches you could be able to do here, kind of gives you that feeling of Maverick at Top Gun. Now for the rest of the center console, of course you have your gear shifter here, park, reverse, neutral, drive, and sport. It's all familiar. Now when you switch it to sport, of course there's no more plus minus category here. You won't need that because you do have paddle shifters on your steering wheel. You've got a pretty high handbrake here for those handbrake turns. I know why you'd want to do that too. And of course you have 2 cup holders here. The 2 cup holders are big enough to fit in your usual drinks, nothing new there. But it does have neon lights inside which do light up when you turn on the vehicle. Now in the middle, you also have storage space right here, which is pretty decent, and 1 USB slot for where you can put your phone. Now inside the Shelby, you also have a special logo here, which signifies that the Mustang has been around for 55 years. Imagine that, the Mustang's been around for 55 years. And of course, you also have your run-of-the-mill storage space there, nothing new. But of course, what's interesting about this car though is the plethora of features you have at the driver's steering wheel. Now the driver's steering does have a sporty feeling, which is added on by how perfect the radius of the circle is. Not too big, not too small, just the right size. Now for the steering wheel, you also have paddle shifters in the back here, which do give you access to your 10-speed automatic. Yep, 10-speed automatic. And of course, up front, you do have audio controls on the left, cruise control in the bottom, and of course, access to your phone on the right side. And this car is also equipped with Ford Sync, which does have a voice command. Now, before we get this car on the road for a test drive, I gotta point out the voice command of the Ford Sync. This thing's really intuitive. How so? I've been driving this car for the better part of a few days lately, and you know, sometimes when I leave the radio on, right, and I want to change radio stations, right, all I gotta do is press this button here, and then it tells me something. Switch to 87.5 FM.
Tuning to FM 87.5.
See? Just gotta talk properly and it switches for you.
Now for those wondering what exactly the Shelby GT Premium is, well, it's a notch below the GT 500, but it's also a notch above the GT 350. During the time we had this car with us, we weren't able to take it on a speedway or a racetrack, but we were able to take it out on a few spirited drives. And I gotta tell you guys, it was a mind-blowing experience every time I put my foot on the gas pedal. Now, if you were to launch this car from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour and see how fast it gets there, we're looking at roughly 3.4 to 5 seconds. Now, you know, I'm basing those numbers from the GT 500, but with the Edelbrock Supercharger and the backcat exhaust this thing has, for sure, the numbers are gonna be close. Adding to the power of this beast is a 10-speed automatic transmission. Yes, 10-speed, 10 gears. Might be confusing for some, but believe it or not, if you put it on sport mode and run the paddle shifters, it could be very engaging, especially when you go on those spirited drives. And if we're talking about stopping power, those Brembo brakes are really firm and consistent, and it can help you stop consistently at any speed, no matter the situation. One last thing before we hit the road, just a little bit of shop talk for you guys. This car is priced at 6,450,000 Philippine pesos. Now the price might be surprising to some, but with all the upgrades, the bells and whistles, and the heritage this car has, for sure what you're driving is a win. Now just remember, prices may change depending on when you watch this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For those interested in how to get their hands on this Shelby GT Premium, you can contact the Autohub group. We'll be posting their links in our description box down below.
Alright, so driving the Shelby Mustang Premium. Okay, there's a lot of things I have to say about this. There's a lot of things I can say about this, but the bottom line is though, is that I'm kind of a bit speechless about how this thing really goes, okay? First of all, okay, let's start with the basic. Ride comfort. There you go. Now that was a rumble strip we passed by. But anyways, ride comfort. Okay, it's there. Okay, it's a bit on the sporty side though, I have to say. All right, it's you can really feel every undulation on the road. You can really feel that it's kind of bouncy, and of course you can already see that on camera. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You want a firm suspension whenever you're driving this car because of how much horsepower this car has. Now, one of the more distinct features of this car is that this car does have an Edelbrock Supercharger up to 700 horsepower. Now, what does 700 horsepower feel like, you might wonder? It feels like this. I have to remember to drive responsibly. But yeah, going back though, that's what 700 horsepower feels like. When you need power, it's instantly there, okay? This car does have roughly 700 horsepower, as mentioned, and there is a 10-speed automatic transmission attached to this car. So that means though that with all the gears you have, although it's a little bit lurchy at low speeds, the upside of it is that you have really stellar fuel economy when you're cruising at highway speeds. The higher the highway speed, of course, your gears do adjust accordingly. Now, for the car's driving dynamics, you can really feel and you can really enjoy how engaging the car is. There are some things you might not be able to enjoy as much, but really, it's a matter of preference at the end of the day. Personally, I might find that the nose is a little bit too long for my preference. But then again, though, if you had a short nose for a 5-liter for a 5-liter engine, right? I think you'd be more worried about that. But yeah, the long nose doesn't affect performance. But if you are going to be driving this around, that's something you have to take into consideration. And for a guy like me, I'm more used to driving SUVs. For anybody following me on social media, with exceptions to the most recent Levdeo that we shot, most of the cars I've been driving, and even my personal cars, are all tall cars. So really, I've had to be more considerate whenever I take on speed humps and whenever I do approach things at certain angles. You really have to be mindful of where you're taking your car. Okay, so driving the Ford Mustang Shelby Premium. Okay, there's a lot of things I can say about this car, and you know, before anything else though, I gotta say, since I picked up the car from the dealership a few days ago, I've sort of been kind of speechless with this car. Yeah, you know, but let's start with the basics, okay? First of all, the physical aspects of driving a muscle car. So guys, what does 700 horsepower feel like? What does a 700 Edelbrock Supercharger feel like? More like this. Okay, now I gotta slow down. Man, that one too fast, too quick. Grabe. My jaw is dropping by the second. So steering with the Shelby, it's a little bit on the heavy side, but you're gonna want that, especially with your car, okay? And that comes naturally though, because of how big your wheels are and your tires rather. So it's sort of normal for your steering to be heavy. But the thing is though, it is adjustable. There are drive modes here where you could adjust your steering to comfort, sport, sport plus, depending on your preference, okay? Now, for this one, I've been using mostly normal steering, okay? But if I was stuck in traffic, and I was stuck in traffic yesterday, I did use this on comfort, and there is a noticeable, with ride comfort, yeah, I mentioned this earlier, it's a bit on the firm side, it's a bit on the bouncy side though, which you want, but it's still on the compliant side, which is still pretty important for a car like this. Bouncy, but the right amount of bouncy, and you know, you need that, so you're okay with this. Now, with the 700 horsepower that this car does have, obviously you need to know that your brakes are consistent. And I have to say that you have one of the best brakes whenever you are taking this car out, or you have the best brakes rather with this car. This car is equipped with Brembo brakes, which give it a very firm and consistent feeling, which is very important to this car. Really, throughout my whole experience of using this car over the past few days, I've enjoyed the idea that my brakes are very firm, okay? Really, to be honest, you know, that's the important part with a sports car, okay? Everyone's impressed with how fast it starts or how fast it goes, but you also have to remember that it's important to also know how fast this car does stop. But I gotta say, this car probably has enough horsepower to take you from your wife to your mistress all in one day. Now, why would you do that? But again, if you had to, not judging you. Just don't get stuck on traffic.
Before anything else, we want to thank our sponsor for helping make this show possible. Thank you very much to El Brando Apparel for being our sponsor for this vlog. El Brando is a clothing apparel line which allows you to ride or drive in style. You can check out their online shops and social media accounts, which we'll be posting in the description box down below. In the meantime, we're going to be raffling off one special t-shirt from El Brando for this episode. These are the mechanics. Number 1. Don't forget to subscribe. Number 2. Comment down your most favorite part of this vlog in the comment section down below. Number 3. When you do comment, don't forget to leave your social media account or ways to get a hold of you so we could be able to verify and coordinate with you if you are the lucky winner. The lucky winner of this special raffle will be announced on my personal social media accounts, namely Instagram and Facebook, at exactly 7 days after we release this particular video on YouTube. To the lucky winner, don't forget to check your notifications or message requests to confirm or coordinate. Once again, thank you very much to El Brando for sponsoring this vlog. Their links will be posted in the description box down below. Okay, Shelby Mustang GT Premium recap. Here we go.
Earlier today, we began shooting the vlog with the question, can money buy happiness? And really, we were able to answer the question through the driving earlier, through the testing and all of that. And of course, don't worry, we followed all safety rules and regulations on the road. But the thing is though, let's answer that question again. So can money buy you happiness? Here's what. For the price of around 6 to 7 million, you could be able to call up our friends from the Autohub group and order yourself one of these. And definitely, wherever you take this car, you're gonna be smiling from ear to ear. That's what I did. I've been sad sitting in the back of a car worth 300,000, and I've been sad sitting in a car worth 7 million. And really, I would choose the 7 million any day. I live my life 1/4 mile at a time. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that officially concludes our coverage of this particular Shelby GT Premium. Thank you very much again to Boss Wayne and to the rest of the Autohub group for allowing us to test this car over the weekend. Really, I enjoyed this, especially my team though. We enjoyed trying this car out. It was a lot of fun. Again, to everybody else, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on social media. And until then, we gotta get going. So, I'll see you on the next vlog.